Today we are going to cover what earnest money is, and we are starting right now. Hey everybody, David Calhoun with Keller Williams Integrity Lakes. Welcome back to my channel where I post new videos every single week about all things real estate. So today I'm talking about earnest money. Maybe you are in the process of buying a house, or you're starting to think about buying a house and you've heard the term earnest money and you just don't know what it is. So I'm going to unpack that for you. It's a deposit you put down on a home so that seller takes that house off the market and signifies that you are intending to move forward with purchasing that house. You might ask, how much is earnest money? Well, most often it is 1% of the sales price. So say you're buying a $300,000 house, minimum you'd want to have for earnest money is about $3,000. Now, the more earnest money you put down, it signifies that you are a more serious or more qualified buyer. And your earnest money is counted towards your closing costs and your down payment on closing day. So what are some of the instances when you might lose your earnest money? Earnest money is protected under 3 contingencies typically in a real estate transaction. The first contingency is the inspection contingency. Typically, you'd write an offer on a house contingent on inspection. The inspection period is about 10 days usually. That's a negotiable time frame, but the most common you'll see here in Minnesota is about 10 days. In those 10 days, you can have a private inspector come inspect the house top to bottom to make sure you want to move forward with that house and that it's sound. You can check out the neighborhood. You can check out the HOA. You can see what your commute time might be from that new house to your work and back. So if you cancel within the inspection period, that 10 days, you get your earnest money refunded back to you. The second layer of protection for your earnest money is the financing contingency. So essentially, under the financing contingency, if you are not able to obtain financing for that house and the lender says, hey, you know what, you actually are not qualified, you can retain your earnest money and get that money back. So say you lost your job, unfortunately, or you maybe just went out and bought a car, or you financed all this new furniture, or your finances essentially just changed. You might not be able to be qualified for that house. And if that were the case, you would retain your earnest money under the financing contingency. And then the third layer of protection for you and your earnest money is the appraisal contingency. The appraisal contingency essentially means that the house needs to appraise at the sales price or above in order for you to move forward with that house. And for whatever reason, if the house does not appraise at the purchase price and then the seller will not come down, you can walk away from that transaction and then retain your earnest money. So just to recap, there are 3 levels of protection for you and your earnest money in a real estate transaction. Number 1 is the inspection contingency. Number 2 is the financing contingency. And number 3 is the appraisal contingency. Now, say all those 3 contingencies have been removed. You had your inspection the first 10 days and you move forward after that. You still are gainfully employed and you can obtain financing. And then the house appraised at the purchase price. But say 3 days before closing, you decide, you know what, I'm not feeling this house. Or the house down the corner just came up for sale. I like that better. And you want to cancel that contract. You are going to lose your earnest money. That would be called breach of contract. Now, my job as your agent is to ensure you are not in breach of contract. So I am following the deadlines, knowing all the dates, and making sure we're on track so that you, as the buyer, are not in breach of contract, which would put your earnest money in jeopardy. So there you have it. I hope this was helpful for you and that you have a little bit better level of understanding for earnest money in a real estate transaction. If you're contemplating a move to Minnesota, I have a relocation guide in the description box below. Feel free to fill that out and I will send that over to you. And as always, thank you for watching and I'll catch you on the next video.